Well, hello, Cascade Church. Welcome to another Wednesday's Word. My name's Tim. I'm the pastor here, and you are just about done with Deuteronomy. That's right. So if you've been keeping up with us, Deuteronomy's been some tough sledding, but you're almost done. That's something we're celebrating. Also, we're about 100 days into this, so if you're keeping up, or mostly keeping up, great job. You're reading the Bible probably far more than you have in the past, and you should just take a moment and thank God for His blessing, thank Him for His Word. Thank Him that He's given you His Spirit and the ability to plow through like this, whether you're listening or reading, or maybe just skimming through these emails and gleaning some insights. Anytime we interact with God's Word, we're better for it. And sometimes it's hard. Deuteronomy 28 is one of the hardest chapters in the Bible. D.A. Carson writes that we see more wrath and more danger in that chapter than any other place. And you might wonder, why is God so into this? And when we read, God is laying out two different options for life. In chapter 30, He'll say, choose life. Meaning, if you follow me, you'll find life. You will be blessed. And what a blessing is, it's when a priest or God lays his hands and says, I'm going to enable you to have the full potential that I created here. So God put Adam and Eve in the garden, and He blessed them. And they were supposed to be a blessing to nurture and tend for the garden, bringing out from the garden everything that was locked in potential. So you picture a little seed. The seed has the potential to feed thousands. A gardener takes that potential and multiplies it so that it goes out. And in every aspect of our life, if we're following God, He's taking all those little seeds of hope, whether it's for your marriage or our society, or how you deal with your money, or how you deal with, even in Deuteronomy, we see like mold and skin issues and disease and murder. You take the little seeds of what God's doing in a good way, and we expand it into something that's powerful and life-changing. And the same thing happens with curse. Curse are those little places where we say, I want to live life without God's help. And so we see, instead of expanding into all potential, it continues to snowball into destruction. That's why in chapter 30 it says, today choose life, but some of you will try to bless yourselves. And imagine what you're trying to do is you put your hands on yourself and say, I'm going to bless me. My thinking, my way of doing this is going to be what's right. And all we do is we end up snowballing, and you see that these days. You see how society is getting further and further from God. Sometimes churches are. Sometimes a life that sometimes just gets a little bit off track completely turns into a snowball. And it's hard. And our job as a church is not to look and judge. Our job is to look and see where hurt is and to run out and bring blessing. That's why Jesus in Luke 10 keeps that metaphor going. Remember, Adam and Eve were gardeners. Their goal was to bring blessing, to take all those little potentials of life, whether it's in the seeds or in their personal seeds, Cain and Abel and all their other kids, and to bring everything to the fullest potential so that we're blessed under God. That's the way God created the world. That's the way things will be at the end of time when we're in a new garden that Jesus is at the center of. And so in the middle of all this, while we see the world deteriorating into curse, how we see people about to take Jesus' life, we see so much hostility everywhere, Jesus says, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. In other words, God is still bringing blessing. God is still bringing all that potential that Adam and Eve were supposed to be bringing out of the garden, all the potential that Israel was supposed to be bringing out. God's been working. But what we need are those blessers, the workers, people who will step into that and begin to gather what God's already doing and bring them to God, bring them to Jesus. And that's the role of the church, is to stand in that place and say, okay, God, you've called us to be a blessing. You're working all around us already. So let's get into your harvest field and start bringing people in, telling them who Jesus is, showing them how to avoid cursing and have a full life of blessing. And that's why I love preaching the gospel. That's why I love helping people. It's not just saying religious words. It's not just having religious services. It's bringing people into a lifestyle where people can hear who Jesus is and discover full blessing. I got to tell you, last Sunday in church, I heard from a father of someone who brought their kid. They said that was the first time Jesus made sense to them. That's blessing. That's taking somebody and saying, okay, here's a seed of what God's already doing in this wonderful life. And can we as a church, can I as a pastor, can we as a body bring that to its full realization? And I know we can, if God helps us. And that's why you see how Jesus continues from that, and He tells the story of the Good Samaritan. Do you want to know what it's like to be a blessing? Serve your neighbor. Be self-sacrificial. step into danger. One of the things about the Good Samaritan, while people stepped really far from him, is if the guy was beaten and bloody on the side of the road, those robbers might still be around. If you stop to help him, you're putting yourself at risk. The priest, the Levite, they were afraid to do that. They were too, you could get unclean by touching somebody, a dead body. They wanted to avoid all that. But the Good Samaritan steps in. He's willing to risk, and he loves. Then you see Mary and Martha. Martha is so busy, but Mary chooses what's better. And then they teach him how to pray. And in all these things, Jesus is showing us this is what it looks like to bring the fullness of blessing. It's by serving those around you, but not in a frantic Mary sort of or Martha sort of way. Take time to sit at my feet. You can't always be working. You can't always be serving. Sometimes you have to sit back and then pray. And what I like to do in my prayer life is to use the Lord's Prayer kind of as a template. And so you just say, Lord, our Father who art in heaven, you really are my dad. And I'm so grateful that I have an earthly dad that showed me what love is like, but you're even better than he was. You're an amazing dad. You have a relationship with me. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your name is better than every other name. You can go through every phrase of the Lord's Prayer like that. Lead us not into temptation. And Lord, you know how I'm tempted. You know what my eyes lead me to do. You know how my appetites, how contemplate driving by fast food or looking at things I shouldn't look at. You know all those appetites. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. And just keep praying that. And as you do, you'll be sitting at his feet the way he calls Mary to. And also, you'll probably be motivated to see who you can serve and who you can love. And so this week, what I would encourage you to do is to celebrate the fact that you've read the Bible so far, to keep going, and also to take some time and just pray that you can be a harvest worker. Take time with Luke 10 and read through that again and say, okay, the harvest is plentiful. Where is the harvest in my life? Is there anybody I can reach, anyone I can pray for, anyone I can take care of? But the workers are few. Am I willing to be one of those workers? So think about that. God bless, and we'll see you soon.